Hey, right guys, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, something that I usually do on the main channel. I've done it the last couple of years, I believe, but it's going through every single platinum trophy that I got throughout the year of 2023, just to kind of wrap the entire year. I'll put a nice little bow on things, and I think we got 53 platinums in total this year, so I think that's one or two more than I got in 2022, so we're doing well. We are improving every year on how many that I'm kind of getting. But yeah, this will be the first one on this channel. This channel's almost a year old in February, so of course this is going to be the first one. But I did upload one for 2022 on the main channel. If you do want to check that one out, it's probably buried under a ton of videos, but it is there somewhere. But yeah, I thought we'd start with just every game that actually came out this year. I think there's around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games that actually were released this year. I didn't play just 11 games that were released this year. I did Street Fighter 6, but that is, I've got 2 trophies left on that one until that's platinumed, and then there's a handful of others that I have played that came out this year. I just wasn't able to platinum them, like Baldur's Gate 3 as well, but that was on PC. So there are other games, but I just wanted to keep it simply games that I managed to actually platinum. So yeah, we've got GOTY, fantastic, great, good, meh, and the trash games of the year. Or games that I platinumed this year. So let's start with maybe the best of the entire list, to be honest. Dead Space, no one's really talking about Dead Space. It didn't do too well sales wise, I don't think, or not as well as I thought maybe they thought it was going to, or that I even personally kind of hoped that it would, because if Dead Space did well sales wise, it would mean that we'd get more Dead Space down the line, but it doesn't seem like that might be the case. I don't know, but Dead Space is my favourite horror game of all time, so to get a remake of it, I was very excited about that, and I think it more than delivered. I think it actually improves on the original game immensely. Like, I don't think you even need to go back to the original game. I think some people were arguing with like Resident Evil 4 Remake that there is a case to be made where you'd still want to go back to the original Resident Evil 4 as well, because they are kind of different in a lot of ways, whereas Dead Space, I feel like it is the Dead Space game, but just improved on in every single way. So we're going to start off strong, but Dead Space in GOTY for me, just because it's my favourite horror game of all time. It more than delivered. And as for the actual list for the platinum, I thought it was really fun. It kind of was just the same as what the original was, but the original Dead Space has one of the best platinum lists that I remember going through, and it kind of just did that, but added on impossible mode where you had to go through the whole game without dying. And then they changed where like the paying treasure was and stuff like that. So yeah, amazing game, highly recommend. Then we had Hogwarts Legacy, which was the first video on this channel, which was a platinum run. I'll mention which ones I got. I did a video on, so you can go and check those ones out if you want to. But Hogwarts Legacy, I said in that video, I feel like it's probably a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10 if you don't really care about Harry Potter. Me, however, I love Harry Potter. I've always loved Harry Potter. I love the world, I love Hogwarts as a whole, and one of my favourite gaming moments in this entire year, and honestly maybe the last kind of 10 years, is just exploring Hogwarts for the first time. I know that sounds super cringe, but I don't care. I love Hogwarts so much, and going to Hogsmeade and picking your wand and customising it, which house do you want to be in, customising your character, all that stuff, I was very, very happy. The negatives with it for me is just simply the story, the main story. I think the side plots were actually pretty great, but I think the main story was a little bit, it was fine. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was anything amazing. I think I would have maybe bumped it up to the 10 if the main plot really engaged me. So that's why I say realistically it's more like a 7 or an 8, but because of that exploration and me being very happy kind of playing that for a week, I'm going to put it in fantastic. Like I said, realistically more like great. And I love how well the boycott for Hogwarts Legacy did. That's what is it, the second best-selling game of the year, or third best-selling game of the year or something. Oof. Resident Evil 4 Remake, I love Resident Evil. Resident Evil might be my favourite gaming franchise. You can't class The Last of Us as a franchise yet, I feel. Maybe Uncharted, I feel like you could probably, yeah, probably what's that, like 5 games including the spin-offs, so maybe 6 games actually if you could count the PS Vita one. But yeah, I would put Resident Evil up there. Maybe not the best, but it is definitely up there, like top 3. I think especially with the remakes now, it's like we just keep getting banger after banger. I think the last questionable Resident Evil was maybe Resident Evil 6. Actually, that's a lie. We have Resident Evil Resistance and some of the online stuff they've put out. But in terms of the mainline games, the questionable one was probably Resident Evil 6, and even that I had fun with in co-op. Playing it by myself would probably be dire, but doing Resident Evil 6 in co-op was a lot of fun. Resident Evil 4 absolutely delivered, of course. I think everyone was very happy with this game. I think they changed. I can't remember the original Resident Evil 4 too well. Like, I haven't gone back to play it in over 10 years. I played it when it originally came out, and then replayed it a couple times in the span of like 5 years after it came out. But since then, not really gone back to it. So it was nice to be back in the village, be playing back as Leon. And also shout out to the Ada Separate Ways DLC. That was really, really good. I'd never played Separate Ways when it originally came out on the, what would it be, PlayStation 2, I guess. Ada, the Separate Ways would have come out. But Ada, I've got my Ada tattoo on my leg, which I'm not going to lift my leg up to show. I could do that, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I was very happy with that DLC. So Resident Evil 4, we're going to put in... It has to be GOTY. It has to be. I do personally prefer Dead Space. Dead Space is my favourite horror game of all time, so it's going to not be... It's going to be below Dead Space, unfortunately, but it is a 10 out of 10 absolute masterpiece. Didn't really have any... I think... Oh yeah, the only issue I remember having with the game... Also did a video on Resident Evil 4 if you do want to check that one out, but the only issue I had with it, it's not even against the game, it's just that room in the what is it, like a big castle, like the castle with when you have to defend Ashley. Ashley is, as a character, pretty good in like the cutscenes and stuff, but for protecting her, she was annoying as all hell. So that didn't really change too much. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, again another video if you wanted to check that one out. Not the biggest Star Wars fan, actually not really a Star Wars fan at all, but I really enjoyed Fallen Order when that came out in, I want to say 20, correct me if I'm wrong, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. I really enjoyed that game. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think this one was actually better than that. I like Cal Katniss. I think he's a really great character. The combat's really fun. It's challenging as well. And yeah, the story's pretty decent. I don't think it's like an incredible story, but I think it's about maybe as good as the first one was. And they still need to sort that map system out a little bit, but the map wasn't as bad as it was in the first game. And as for the platinum list, it was just collect everything, as your basic stuff. Some of the collectibles were a little bit annoying to try to figure out, but it wasn't that big of a challenge. So I'm going to put Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I would have put it here after finishing it, but I think having it settled a little bit, I'd say great. I think it is a really great game. I wouldn't quite put it in fantastic. But it was a lot of fun. I don't know, it's a little bit glitchy at times, but not too bad as well. I heard it was awful on PC, but I got lucky because obviously playing on PlayStation. So Bramble the Fallen King, I believe it's called. This is another video that we did. I think it did the least amount of views in the year, but still pretty good video to do. Really fun. I love Inside, Limbo, and what's the other one they did? I forget. Oh no, it's not the other, but Little Nightmares. I know it's not the same people, but Little Nightmares. Those kind of games where it's like kind of creepy and eerie, but you know, a bit of side scroll and some puzzles and stuff. I like those type of games, and Bramble kind of falls into that list. I'd say it's not as good as any of those games I just mentioned, but it's pretty close. I really enjoyed it. The music absolutely slaps, and I think the trophies were pretty decent. There was one to go through the whole game without dying, I believe, but cloud saving exists, so you can do that if you want. I'm not going to say I did it for the video. I'm just saying that it exists. If you want to go do it, cloud saving does exist. But yeah, Bramble, really good game. I'm going to say probably below Jedi Survivor realistically, but it was a really great game, and I'm excited to see what they do next. Actually, I'm going to follow the team closely to see whatever they do next. Oh god. Right, we've had a lot of great games. We've had a lot of go-to games out at the top. Gollum did another video on this one if you do want to check that one out. I think actually I did a video on all of these games. Not all of these games, but all the new games that were released. I think. Well, we'll see. It's trash. It's absolutely trash. I paid £40 for Gollum. I was the, I want to say 12th or 15th person to get the platinum on PSN profiles. So that was pretty cool. I've never been in the top 50 first achievers on a platinum, so the first time for everything, and it was with Gollum, unfortunately. But yeah, the controls were awful, the voice acting was awful, The gameplay was awful. The story was awful. I'm the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Not ever. No, that's a silly thing to say. But got my tattoo. I love Lord of the Rings. You guys know this. I go on about it all the time. But I couldn't stand this game. It was terrible. Really, really terrible. And probably not even the worst game of the year, actually. I think the day before, which I've not even played, is meant to be like the worst game of the year. So, don't know how that happened. I think Kong's meant to be worse than Gollum. And I think The Walking Dead Destinies is meant to be worse than Gollum. So, it's not even one of the top 3 worst games of the year. I don't know how that happened. But, yeah. And the Platinum was buggy. Some of the trophies didn't pop when they were meant to. Only a couple. I think I got like kind of lucky at some points. I thought certain trophies weren't going to pop, and they did. There's a whole what was the annoying trophy? Was it to go through the whole game without dying? Was that one of them? Yeah, that was one of them. You had to go through the whole game without dying. Again, cloud saving exists, so thank God for that. But there was no way I was going to try and do that legit. That was not going to happen at all. What a trash game. Yeah, probably the worst game I've played this year, actually, in a long time. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've got the video for this Platinum. I just haven't edited it yet because there's so many clips that I need to go through, and I just haven't had time. But that video will probably be coming in 2024, so I know it's a bit late now, but developed from a team right here in Nottingham, so that's quite cool. I can't think of any other games that were developed in Nottingham, so we have I won't say our first here, but the first I kind of know of at least, and pretty good. It kind of falls into that the Evil Dead, Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th realm of, someone's a monster and they got to run around and kill all the other survivors. I enjoy those games. I think at a point they start to just kind of feel like the same thing. You're doing the same thing. I think when it comes to the games I just mentioned, I think Friday the 13th still is the most fun I've had in one of these games. Then Dead by Daylight, then the Evil Dead, then Texas Chainsaw. But they've all been good for different reasons. I think the benefit with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that you can be the monster with your friends, because on the other games I just mentioned, it's like one of you has to be the monster and hunt down 4 other survivors, whereas here you can have up to 3 people running around trying to kill all the survivors. So that's kind of unique and different, or something that I've not seen in the other ones, and I hope they put that in more games because it is kind of fun to do that with friends as well. But yeah, they only had 3 maps which you learned very quickly, so you just kind of know what you're doing to a point, and a bit glitchy and buggy at times for sure. And the trophy list it started to overstay its welcome a little bit. Like there was like hang 10 survivors up on the gallows, and it just did not work, so you had to do that in private matches and stuff like that. So a little bit, but it was good overall. I wouldn't say I was like blown away by it. I think it could have overstayed its welcome with the trophy list, but it didn't quite get there. So a lot of hours though. I think it was in my top 5 most played games of the year. So number 1 was Hogwarts Legacy, but yeah, that was getting close. Oh, and the lobby system. The lobby system was horrible. Like you had to wait for everyone to ready up, or it wouldn't start. So you had 4 survivors, 3 killers. So you got to wait for all of them to ready up before you can go into a game. Like usually most games, I think it's each time someone else readies up, it reduces the time you have to wait. You had to wait in the lobby for 4 minutes each time unless everyone readied up, which most of the time there was always that one person that was just sat in the lobby doing nothing. I think they've patched it since, but that did not happen during the time I was playing it, and that was a horrible choice. I think most of the playtime in this game, I actually genuinely mean this, is just sat in lobbies or searching for games, which is really sad. So that was horrible. I would bump it down to that just for that, but the gameplay was fun and I did have some good times on it, so I can't be too harsh on it. Yes, and there's some other creative things they did in it, which was weird. But Spider-Man 2, again, another video that we've done. Didn't do too well, but it's up on the channel if you do want to check it out. I enjoyed this. It was more of the same kind of from the first game, to be honest. If you enjoyed the first Spider-Man, I think you're going to enjoy this one. I actually preferred Miles Morales. I think the DLC, it wasn't DLC, but it was kind of like a spin-off game that was like a 4-hour campaign basically with Miles Morales, which I think was definitely needed before this game. I'm glad they put that one out. But yeah, it was more of the same. Swinging around is great. The graphics were amazing. The story was actually pretty good. Not as strong as I think the first game was, but it was still pretty decent overall. Combat's really fun. It's not, again, quite fluid, but not as strong as the Arkham games. It's clearly taken inspiration from that, but not as good. But yeah, Spider-Man's a great character, and it's just fun. It's fun to swing around New York. The platinum was very easy. Complete the game, get collectibles, do all side missions, done. I'd say maybe there. I had more fun in Hogwarts Legacy for sure, personally, but I think Spider-Man's the better game than Hogwarts Legacy. But I just had more fun when it came to Hogwarts Legacy over Spider-Man 2. But yeah, I didn't go into Spider-Man 2 thinking it was going to be like the best game of the year or something. So I'm happy with what we got for that. Alan Wake 2, you can see Alan Wake 1 is down here. But obviously that came out years ago. The remastered didn't, but I think it came out on Xbox like 2010 or something like that, so a while ago. But Alan Wake 2, the fans have got it 13 years later. You kind of get that, which is mad. And I would probably say it's my game of the year. It is a toss-up between this and Dead Space. The reason I want to give it to Alan Wake 2 is because Dead Space technically came out in, 2010 or something. So I want to give it to Alan Wake just because it is a new game. Dead Space Remake is a new game, but you know what I mean. Amazing. I love True Detective. The first season of True Detective is like my 5th or 4th favourite show of all time. And this is just True Detective, the game, basically, but just with Alan Wake madness over it. True Detective more so with Saga story over Alan Wake's story, but you know what I mean. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought the story lost me a little bit, but once you read up like some explaining videos, and I feel like you have to play the first Alan Wake to really understand Alan Wake 2 as well. But once you get your head around it, I think the characters were great. The voice acting was amazing. That one chapter with the singing musical, you know what I mean? Amazing. The trophy list was actually pretty good fun to go through and get all the collectibles as well. There wasn't anything too challenging on there that I can think of, but you didn't even have to get all the collectibles. There were some collectibles in there that once I realised there wasn't a trophy to it, I was like, well, I'm not going to bother with these. I thought they could have had that as a trophy, but there was one of the collectibles did bug though, which was a bit annoying. It was the TV screens that Alan Wake has to go to. One of them bugged very early on. Luckily, it was only about an hour and a half, 2 hours into the game, so I just had to replay the first 2 hours again to get to it. But that was a little bit annoying. That was the only major bug that I kind of encountered. But yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. Really loved it, and excited to see what Remedy do next for sure. Like, I loved Control, and I never got to play. What was that? That was the one they put on Quantum Break. That was for Xbox only. But I want to play Max Payne just to kind of see where the origins of Remedy kind of come from. But yeah, I'll be very excited to see what they do next. Definitely my game of the year, but very close with Dead Space as well. RoboCop Rogue City. This was pretty good fun. I felt like this could have been a game that overstayed its welcome, because it is just running. It's a first-person shooter. You're just running around blowing people's heads off and grabbing people and throwing them through plywood and stuff like that, which is really great fun to do. But I think towards the end of the game, I was starting to be like, okay, let's wrap this up. This is also Alan Wake 2 and RoboCop. Both have clips. I've filmed all the platinum for it. I just need to, again, edit it. I just haven't had the time. RoboCop would be pretty easy to edit, but Alan Wake 2 has a lot of clips, so that might be a while, but I'll hopefully get to it at some point in 2024, because this year has been mad for how many games have just come out, to be honest. But yeah, RoboCop was really good fun, actually. I think there were some sections in there that were a bit annoying, and the trophy list wasn't too bad either. Again, it was just, I don't think you even had to do all the side missions, but you did have to get a certain amount of XP to get some unlock all skills or something like that. I'd say it was good overall. Better than Texas Chainsaw. Yeah, it's less buggy, and I think I would put Texas Chainsaw above RoboCop if it wasn't for that lobby. So yeah, I had more fun probably with this game realistically, but RoboCop I only played over the course of 2 days and got the platinum. It was very, very quick, and yeah, good fun. UFC 5. These are like the only EA Sports games that I really enjoy playing at this point. I'm kind of over FIFA and NBA. I think it's just honestly a bit boring after a point, so UFC I think's good fun. I do have a video on this one. You can check that one out. That is the last game that came out this year that I actually have a video on, so You can check that video was so much fun to do. So you can, I think it's the most recent one. It'll be pretty easy to find, but yeah, they're UFC games. This one was nothing new. I hated the doctor stoppage system. I think they added that in for just to add something in, and it was annoying as all hell, as you can see in the video. It just annoyed me. But the trophy list was do the campaign, do a lot of online fights, as it has been for all UFCs. A lot easier than UFC 3. UFC 3 was definitely the most grindy UFC so far. But UFC 4 was the easiest, and then UFC 5 I think was kind of in between there. But the graphics were really good fun, and knocking people out, still very satisfying in this game. So I'm going to say great. I have a soft spot for the UFC games. I think they're just good fun. So yeah, I'm going to put it at the bottom of great. Realistically, it's more like good, but in terms of entertainment, maybe it's not great. Can I really put it on the same level as Bramble and Jedi Survivor? I feel like great's like an 8 out of 10. I'll probably give UFC like a very high 7. So yeah, we'll go top of good. Alright, so that's all the games that were actually released in 2024. Now these are all games that came out earlier than that I've either mopped up or gotten to for the first time this year. And there's quite a few here, so we won't spend too long on some of these because some of them I just don't have much to say about. But The Division, I played most of this last year but got the Platinum very early into January, so the Division 2, I have 1 trophy left to get the Platinum on that, so maybe you'll see that on the list next year. But the Division, good fun. Played it with my dad, and it was just good fun to go through. Sometimes Ubisoft games kind of hit. They hit at the right time. Sometimes you really cannot be bothered with a Ubisoft game because they're just always the same. But sometimes you kind of are in the mood for a Ubisoft game, and I was in the mood for Division at the time. So I'd say a pretty great game at the bottom there. Division 2, probably a little bit better as well, but more of the same. I don't think we have any other... Oh no, we do have a couple more Ubisoft games actually. A Plague Tale. Now, if you did one of the... Maybe there's 1 or 2 of you that watched the video from last year. I did put A Plague Tale on the list last year because I thought... I did it a couple of days before the end of the year, and I had 1 trophy left, and I thought I was going to get to it before the end of the year, but that didn't happen. So I got to it in January instead. So I'm kind of re-ranking this one, but it's a great game. I really love Plague Tale, and probably there. So again, all my thoughts were in that first video, but I wanted to be truthful and put it on the list because I really thought I was going to get it at the end of last year, but that just did not happen. Unpacking, I downloaded this because it was on the PlayStation Store. You have the editor's choice, and Unpacking was just on there constantly. And if I looked up the trophy list and it said like 3 hours, 4 hours, I thought, you know what, I need something a bit more chilled out to kind of go for. And Unpacking was the definition of a chilled out game. Really good fun. It's literally, I don't even know, it's not bird's eye view, but it's kind of like tilt. I don't know the angle, like the game's here, the camera's here, and you're looking whatever that angle is. But you are literally, what it says on the tin, unpacking a load of items and placing them where you want, making the room look nice, as clean as you can, and then move on to the next level. That is literally the game, and the rooms get bigger as it goes on, or you get more rooms as it goes on as well. And very simple platinum. You have to like flush all the toilets or place a certain item in a certain place and stuff like that. But yeah, for what it is, I'd say probably there. Yeah, it did exactly what I wanted it to do and needed it to do at the time. So I highly recommend it. It's pretty cheap. I think I got it for like £5. It might have been on deal or something, but very cheap. Cult of the Lamb. I was wanting to play this one for a while. I think it came out last year and I heard really good things. I know they've just released DLC for it as well, which I might go back to. But yeah, you're a little sheep. I want to say you are or a goat. You're a goat, and you're kind of building up your clan, your village as it goes on. You get more and more. But they're all different. I was going to say more goats, but they're all different animals. You kind of like moles and rabbits and dogs, all just teaming up. You can name them all as well, which I thought was kind of cool. You can sacrifice some of them to benefit your camp or get negative effects as well. So, and then you go out and fight in the combat system to try and get some food for your family and all that stuff. It's one of those type of games, but it's really, really, really good fun. I'd say, and the platinum was pretty challenging actually. Not super challenging, but did I prefer this or Bramble actually? That's a tough one. I think Cult of the Lamb's the better game over Bramble. I think it's more fine-tuned, but oh, the music was really good in Cult of the Lamb as well. I really liked the music. I'd say there, yeah, middle of great. Highly recommend that one. Bloodborne, finally got around to Bloodborne. I played a little bit of it in when it came out in, I want to say 20. Let me see if I can get this right. I want to say 2015 is when Bloodborne came out. That's almost 10 years. I cannot believe that. And we don't have a remake or anything, or a PS5 port. That's wild. But yeah, finally got around to Bloodborne. I do think it is the best of those type of games that I've played. The Soulsborne games. I've not played Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3. I want to do a video on those. Also, shout out, did a video on Bloodborne. That was the second video on the channel, so you can check that one out if you want to. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I'm not super into the Soulsborne games. I've played this, Elden Ring. I played a little bit of Demon Souls. I think that's it. Oh, I played a bit of Lords of the Fallen from 2014, if anyone remembers that. I know they've released a second one fairly recently, but we got Neo. I played a bit of Sekiro as well. So I've delved into them. They're just not. I see why people love them. They're just not my kind of go-to genre. But out of the ones I've played, Bloodborne is definitely the best. I know a lot of people would put this in GOTY. I would put it there personally. I love the world, but like I say, this is just not a genre that I'm super in love with. So do keep that in mind. But to say I'm not super into that genre and I still consider it this is what happens when you just talk 30 minutes for non-stop. But I still consider it a fantastic game. I think says a lot about how strong the game is. And I can completely see why this is a lot of people's favourite PlayStation exclusive and stuff like that. Like, I would not dispute that. I think it's a really great special game. And I assume we'll get a Bloodborne 2. I don't know. As for the Platinum, very challenging. I thought I'd really, really struggle with Bloodborne. But I think once I got into the rhythm of it, the only times I started to really struggle was in the dungeon bits towards the end. But then I went on to that final boss and it was not that bad, to be fair. So yeah, Bloodborne, really, really great game. The Sims 4, not such a great game. I really like The Sims, unfortunately, because it's just sad to see kind of what it's become. But it's just like you just see map packs constantly, which I kind of get because it's, you know, you want the university level and the doctor level and the vets level. It's fine, but I feel like we need a new Sims now. This felt very outdated when I played it. It was not as fun as the original Sims, The Sims 2, The Sims Herbs, The Sims on DS. There was just like more. Even The Sims 3, I preferred to The Sims 4, if I'm being honest. The Sims 4 was boring. I did a video on it. Another one you can check. I think that might be the last. Oh no, there's a couple more videos actually. But yeah, you can check that one out if you want. But I made all the characters like friends, so Ross, Joey, Rachel, all that stuff, because I'd just finished Friends at the time, or I was doing Friends at the time. And the Platinum was boring. I found a cheaty way to do it at the end because I just could not be bothered. Like, I really got so bored of the game. I was like, I need to wrap this up because it was just so slow to get any of the trophies, and you're just doing the same thing constantly. I know that's kind of the part of The Sims, just kind of doing the same thing, but I felt like it was more fun in the other games. I don't know. I'd go meh. I don't think it was trash, but because I had fun in the first maybe like 4 hours, but then after that, nope, I'm good. Celeste, I played most of this last year, to be honest, but I went back and got a couple of the trophies this year to get the Platinum. Really special game, amazing music, really good story actually. Surprisingly so, I didn't know the story would be as good as it actually was. I'm not usually into those type of games. Like, I'd love pixel art, I think it looks amazing, but they're not my go-to to kind of play. But this one was a standout for me for sure. So I'm going to say, and also the trophy list would be a 10 out of 10 difficulty, but you can put on like an option where it makes it like super accessible and you can just breeze through, and it's like a 1 out of 10 instantly. But yeah, I'd say, which I did, by the way. I was not going to struggle for those collectibles. Like, some of those collectibles were wild. Above Bramble, above Call the Lamb, maybe there. Yeah, really great game. A lot of people give this a 10 out of 10. I can see why, but I'd say probably an 8 out of 10 for me. Absolute Drift. This was another one where I just went back this year and got a couple of trophies to kind of wrap things up. It's just a drifting game, and kind of on the tin. It's like bird's eye view for the most part. Get as many points as you can. I don't really like drifting in cars, to be honest, in like racing games. It's like my least favourite thing to do in racing games, but I wanted to get the Platinum because it was fairly easy, and I just had to get there was like a few challenges I needed to get. And the last challenge took me about an hour to do, maybe like 40 minutes to an hour. And once I got it, felt good. Felt good to get that platinum. Sometimes you get a platinum and it just hits different because you've been working so hard for that final trophy. And this was one of those. I'd say it was good. Nothing exceptional, not my kind of go-to game, but it was good fun. Tunic, this came out last year again, I want to say as well. Oh yeah, it did, because I popped a trophy last year and then I just wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. Got back to it this year and loved it. I thought it was a really special game. Again, the music was amazing. The combat was fun, but the combat wasn't what was the best part about it. It was like the world and the aesthetic and the design to it all was really well done, and the story was pretty good. Some of the puzzles were just, well, not even the puzzles, it was the last puzzle to get like the last collectible. Insane. If you know like how to figure that, if you figure that puzzle out without looking up a guide, fair play, because there was no way I was going to do that. Like when you, because I got the code or whatever for the door that I needed to go through, but I wanted to know how did you actually get that code, and it's to do with, I don't even want to spoil it because some people might want to figure it out themselves, but there was no way. But really great game. I'd say probably there actually. I could make a case for it being fantastic, but I did prefer Plague Tale. I did prefer Star Wars, so we'll keep it in great. But yeah, I hope they do a second one. Actually, I'd root for a second Tunic. Right, the next 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From here to Spyro. That's all one video you can check out. It was a can I get 10 platinums in 10 days. I won't spoil if I succeeded or failed, but that's another video if you want to go check that one out. I know I keep recommending videos to you, but yeah, some people might not know, you know. So yeah, this was, obviously I had to go for 10 games that were fairly short, that I realistically could get in a day, and all of these minus one, I want to say, were actually pretty good. I don't think I picked any truly awful games. Even my least favorite wasn't awful. But yeah, we'll start with the first one I got, which was Submerged Hidden Depths, I want to say. This is just an adventure game, brother and a sister, like the world, an apocalypse, but it's all submerged with water basically, so you're on a boat for the most part. But this was good, nothing amazing. Get all the collectibles, go through the game. I'll probably put it there. I played the first Submerged like 2017 or something like that, but I never completed that one. But Submerged 2 was pretty good fun. The Artful Escape, this was mainly to do with music. Like, it's a very weird game. I said in the video that this felt like the Mighty Boosh game you could ever get. If you've watched the Mighty Boosh, this is the game for you. Or watched and enjoyed, I should say. The music was good fun, the story was pretty decent, didn't overstay its welcome. Very weird game, but it knew that and went with it. So I'd say there with that one. I can't remember my exact order that I gave it in the top 10 list, but so there might be a bit different to that list, but I feel like that's about right. This is my least favourite of the 10 that I played, Spirit of the North. They've got a second one coming out. Don't know why, but I guess we have a second one coming out. Maybe that's incredible. I don't know, this just did not click with me. I thought it was very clunky. The graphics were, this was like the enhanced edition, so it's meant to be better graphics, and it just looked like ass. I don't know, I did not like the graphics. The platinum was a bit annoying to go for, and this one did overstay its welcome a little bit. So yeah, I was not a fan of this one personally. It wasn't trash. I don't think it was like awful. Like, developers clearly put time into it. It wasn't for me. We'll say that. It wasn't for me. You're a fox running around shouting at stuff. Shouting at plants, I think. Something like that. I don't know. The Last Campfire. This one was a puzzle adventure game. I only had to search up one of the puzzles towards the end. I just could not figure it out for the life of me. I'll spend some of these games, I'm like, I've spent 20 minutes on this puzzle. I cannot be bothered. And I'll just search it up. That only happened once, though. The others were actually pretty... Because when I started it and started to realise it was a puzzle game, I thought, oh no, this is going to be one of those games where I'm going to be sat on a guide for most of the video, but that didn't happen, luckily, because I don't like to do that. It's just sometimes you want to get on with life. Yeah, this was pretty good. Nothing amazing. Only about 4 hours. It was very, very short. This one was the shortest, though. This was like an hour and a bit, I want to say. This is more of a mini story than it was a game, to be honest. You just kind of point and click, stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't love this one. I thought the story at its core was sweet. It was a sweet story, but it wasn't much of a game. I kind of get that. I don't mind that typically because I like the Telltale games. I'm a bit kinder on those, and I think some people kind of are. But yeah, Memoir Blue, I wasn't feeling too much, to be honest. Yeah, bit of a meh game for me. I know it's very critically acclaimed and has a lot of high ratings, but yeah, it wasn't for me, I think, with that one. Metal Hellsinger, again, I didn't love this as much as I thought I was going to, because I thought it'd be a bit more... I know it's kind of like Doom, but with... Well, Doom has music, but, you know, music being the main part of Metal Hellsinger, trying to hit the beats and kill everything on beat, basically, which is a really cool idea. I like that. I know games like that exist. I've never played a game like that before, but yeah, it did what I thought it was going to do. It just wasn't... I don't know, it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it was going to be, I guess I'd say. I'd say it was like the best out of the list so far. I'd say I had more fun on Texas Chainsaw, but it was a good game. But yeah, I know this got like 9s out of 10s and stuff. I didn't see that personally. But Toem, what did I say? A photo adventure. This was my favourite of the entire 10 games that I played. This was basically a hide and seek treasure hunt for the whole game, which I loved. So you had to find certain characters, certain items, find certain areas. You just had to... I only had to search up a couple again as well. Like there's some items I just wasn't able to do, but it was actually fun trying to find these things. It wasn't annoying. Like I feel like some games can try to do that and it's just annoying. You just want to search it up instantly. Whereas this, I really wanted to find everything myself. I even went back and did the DLC, which was a lot of fun as well. So this was my favourite. I gave this a 9, I think. So I'm going to put it there. Really special game. Such a surprise as well. Realistically, like I think Playtale's probably better, but I just had so much fun with that game. There wasn't like a boring moment. So I hope they do a second one. Or I said at the end I'd follow where this team kind of go and see what they do next because it was just that good. So yeah, Jet the Far Shore. This was the one that took the longest, I want to say. This took over a day to get this platinum. It was very good, but long. I think it was the longest game out of the lot as well. I can't remember. I remember the little ship. I can't remember the story. I was on board with the story for the first half, and then I just kind of lost where it was going, to be honest. The music was very good. I remember that about it. But yeah, it was one of the more interesting ones. I'd say that it felt like one of the more unique games out of the... You know, they're all unique in their own way. I felt like this was one of the more unique ones. So I'd say... there, yeah. Probably my second favourite so far. A Short Hike. This was a short game. It's exactly what it says it is. This was a cute game. Very quick. I think I completed the main quest in like an hour or something, and then it was just going around and getting all the collectibles. But it was aesthetically pleasing, I guess we'll say. Sweet game. Nothing much to say about it. I thought like some of the dialogue was actually pretty funny. But yeah, I'd say maybe there for that one. And then the final one was Spyro 3, which obviously played Spyro when I was a kid. But yeah, I don't know. It's like some of these levels it's just fun to go back to some of these levels and remember them from when I was a kid. That was the best part about it. Not so much the gameplay now. The gameplay's good, but it was just kind of remembering some of these levels, like some of them so distinctly as well, like the skateboarding ones was interesting. But yeah, I'd say you got to go great with Spyro. Realistically, probably. If I part my nostalgia away from it, get rid of my nostalgia for Spyro, I'd say there. Alright, so they're the 10 games that I did in one video. Next up was Mirror's Edge Catalyst. This was one that I think I had about 20% of the trophies on when it came out in shall we say 2017 for Mirror's Edge Catalyst, something like that. I don't know, didn't hit as hard, didn't hit as much as the original Mirror's Edge. The original Mirror's Edge I love. I have great memories of playing the original Mirror's Edge, but this one, it kind of felt like it was doing what Mirror's Edge did well. It just wasn't hitting as hard. I don't know, something about it. Maybe that's nostalgia kicking in with the original Mirror's Edge, but I feel like even if I went back to the original Mirror's Edge, I'd far prefer it to this one. What is this, EA, I want to say. It was good. I don't think it was bad or anything, but yeah, I thought I'd enjoy it a lot more, to be honest. And then getting all those collectibles got a little bit tedious to a point, but I'd say probably there. Good game still. It just, I'd put like the original Mirror's Edge based on my memory probably at the bottom of Fantastic, and so it's kind of a drop down for me. Police Simulator. Again, another video if you do want to check that one out. But I don't know. I want to give another simulator game a chance. I've heard the Power Washer is good. I do want to give like Train Simulator a go and maybe do a video on that at some point. But yeah, I feel like these simulator games just aren't for me. This was dull. I felt like it was really funny for about an hour, maybe two, and then it kind of lost the charm. You were just doing the same thing. I felt like they could have made it a lot more fun than it actually ended up being. But yeah, I don't know. I think I expected something a bit more entertaining than it was. I'd say top of meh. Maybe below that one, actually. Maybe below Sims? Sims was a lot more tedious, though. I felt like Police Simulator, the platinum wasn't too long. It just got boring very quickly, was the thing about it. So, realistically, Sims is better. We'll do that, yeah. Not for me. Creed Rise to Glory. This is the only VR game, I think, on here. Oh, no, it's 2 VR games. One was very recently. So, yeah, Creed Rise to Glory. I got the PlayStation VR 2 this year, which is actually really good. I need to find some more games for it that don't cause me so much motion sickness. I get very sick while playing more so the games like Swordsman and Horizon Call of the Mountain, where you actually have to move around. And Creed Rise to Glory, you're very much facing forward the whole time. Beat Saber, I'm pretty good with that. And then the other VR game was Switchback here, which was the Dark Pictures anthology, and that one you just kind of sat straight. Those games I'm fine with, but as soon as you have to like stand up, and not so much standing up is fine because I do that Beat Saber in this, but you know what I mean, like you're physically like moving the character around. That's where it starts to mess with my head after a bit, so I need to figure that out a little bit. But yeah, Creed Rise to Glory was good fun. I was actually on the leaderboards for one of the mini games, the one where you have to like dodge the bag and then punch it and dodge it, punch it and dodge it. I think I was in the top 20. Probably still not now. I'm definitely not now, but yeah, I did pretty well on one of those mini games, and the platinum was good fun. You just have to beat every opponent basically at least once, and that was really about it. Yeah, it was a fun VR game actually. It's the first time I've tried VR. Like really, I've tried it briefly for about 30 minutes a couple of years ago, but this is the first time I've really delved into it this year, and it's a lot of fun actually. So just need to find some more games for it. I'd say probably there for Creed Rise to Glory. F1 22. I've done F1 20, 21, and now 22. I'm skipping 23, I think, because I think I've started to realise they're just the same thing. Which, you know, of course you're going to get the same tracks and courses and stuff like that, but it does just kind of feel like the same thing now, and I need a year away from F1, I think, because I've done it for 3 years in a row. But, yep, it's more of the same, racing around. It's good fun to do with my dad, but there comes a point where you get that one trophy that's like, raced on the track for 50 hours, and it's like, oh god. So you just kind of, that was the last one, not this one, but you do get trophies like that. I'd say probably there. It's a good game. I think it's like, did they not have a campaign with this one? I feel like that's something that they just dropped. It felt like they had less with this one than they did with with 21. I don't know, I could be wrong on that though. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. There we go. I played most of this last year. I did the main campaign, but I went back and did the side stories this year just to get the platinum basically. But Doki Doki is not what it looks like. That is exactly what I'll say. You think you're going to get one thing with this game, and then you get something completely different. It is one of the most eerie, creepy. I've never played a game like it where it kind of plays with text. I don't know, it's hard to explain without spoiling it. I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you think this game's going to be one thing, it's something completely different. It's one of the most, maybe the most creepy game I've played this year actually. Maybe minus Dead Space, because Dead Space is just straight up scary, but I feel like eerie and scary are two different things, and Doki Doki is eerie. So I'm saying there. I won't quite give it the 10 out of 10, but I'd be very close. I'd give it like a 9. It's very, very close. But the characters are great. The story is really cool. But it is that kind of, the way it plays with the player. I've not I know a lot of games do it now, but I felt like this came out in 2016 or 17, where it was kind of new to do stuff like that, and it does a very good job of it. So, Star Wars Battlefront 2, oh my god. I played this for most of the first half of this year. I think every Wednesday I'd do a couple of hours because that's when they had triple XP, triple XP day. So it was like every Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember. I would put in a few hours for about 6 months, maybe not that long, maybe it was like 4 months. But I feel like I did some of that last year as well. So add up the time overall, it's a long time. Basically, just to get to level 50, which was the last trophy I needed, and it was a grind. A grind. I think the online to this game is actually pretty fun overall, but oh my god, I was starting to get sick of it. I was like, please can this wrap up? So finally managed to get that this year. I'm very, very satisfied to get the Battlefront 2 Platinum, because I like to get any online game because you just know at some point the servers are going to go down. At some point in your life, a lot of the games that you've played with the online, the servers are just going to go down. So it's nice to get some of the online ones out of the way. But yeah, I'd say it was a good game. It was just that grind at the end that was like, oh my god. So I'd say probably there for me. The grind makes me want to bring it down a little bit, but I can't. I knew that was a trophy going into it, and so I just had to accept that. I didn't know it'd be as long as it was. I can't imagine going for level 50 without the triple XP. The triple XP helped so much, and even then it took so long. Alright, our next Ubisoft game, and our only other one, I think. Only 2 Ubisoft games, I want to say. This, and what was the other one? We mentioned it a minute ago. Oh, Division, yeah. I've played other Ubisoft games, like I've done Rainbow Six Siege this year as well, and Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I didn't get to platinum that till the end of the year just yet. So yeah, there are other Ubisoft games I've played, but Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, another video if you want to check that one out. One of my favourite Assassin's Creed games for sure. Not quite as good as... I feel like the story is better in 2, but I feel like the gameplay in the world is better in Brotherhood. I don't know, it's hard. It's hard. Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2 are very close to me, but I feel like I have fonder memories of Assassin's Creed 2, so I'll probably give that one the edge. But I'm a sucker for the Assassin's Creed games, which is kind of sad to say now because Mirage was such a disappointment. I don't know, I want to say, because it was only £40, so I get it was on the cheap side, but I don't know. I definitely wanted more from Assassin's Creed Mirage. 100%. The best thing about Assassin's Creed Mirage is the throwing knives. That's really about it. And the world is pretty good, actually. I'll give it that. It's good graphics and stuff. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, we're going to go, of course, fantastic. Realistically, probably there. It's just it's an amazing story. Ezio is a great character. The gameplay's fun with the old Assassin's Creeds. And the trophy list was very reasonable, I want to say, as well. Like, it wasn't like get 1,000,000 feathers or anything like that. So, and the tombs are really great to kind of traverse through. So, great memories of that. Alright, this one's a video as well, but I did 5 horror games in one video, which was Madison, Moons of Madness, Visage, The Medium, and Dark. Madison was the best out of the 5, for sure. This one was actually really creepy and eerie. Did a very good job of actually making me jump more than the other 4 did. Actually, I don't think the other 4 really did make me jump. Maybe Visage did. But the others are different kind of horrors, I feel. So this one is just straight up kind of like, you know, the Outlast third person, or first person, sorry, kind of horror game. So I'd say this one was great. Probably there. I'm going to sneeze. There we go. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Thank you. The trophy list was decent. I think I had to go through it about 3 times, but it was only about... Once you knew what you were doing, it took about 2 hours to get through. It was very quick. But yeah, they had some pretty intense, creepy moments in that game for sure. And like the camera, the way they used the Polaroid camera was really good fun as well. Moons of Madness wasn't quite as good. This was... Was it the weakest? No, I think the weakest was probably the medium from what I remember. But Moons of Madness was fine, I'd say. Again, the story was a bit whatever. I thought I was into it at the start, and then slowly lost interest. I'd say it was better than that. Maybe there. It was a good game overall for sure. Visage. This was one that I had to look up guides for a couple of times. Or my dad did. He kind of looked at the guides and the collectibles while I just went through it. So he was in most. I think he was there for all of these apart from this one, I want to say. But this, I don't know. It's like this one was like, go to the refrigerator and pick up this bean and put the bean in this slot under the mirror. To unlock the mirror, you have to unplug the bath. Stuff like that. It's like I can't be bothered. I've got other things to get on with. I couldn't be bothered. But it was good. They did have some levels in there that were a bit more linear. As soon as they started to do puzzle stuff, I lost interest. But not lost interest because my brain, I don't have the patience for puzzles sometimes. And this game I did not have the patience for. But they did have some levels in there that were really cool. So I'd still say it was a good game overall. Better than Moods of Madness, probably. Better than F1. Because I'm thinking of some of the levels in there that were like the mannequin stuff and yeah, I don't know. Maybe there. And then the medium was the most boring out of all of them for sure. Boring story, boring character. Get all the collectibles, okay. Boring combat, if you can even count it as combat. I thought the platinum glitched or one of the trophies glitched at the end, but luckily it didn't. That was a scary moment. I'd say probably there, maybe top of there. Because again, it did have like a couple of moments in there that were good, I guess. And I like when you're going into like the hospital, like other little moments like that were like kind of cool. But Dark was surprisingly good puzzle game. Again, a couple of things that I did have to search up, of course, but very fun game. I think it was like 5 levels overall. But each one was like a good 30 minutes of trying to figure it out, so it wasn't too long. But yeah, some of the puzzles were actually very creative on this one. I really enjoyed it. But that not even the last level, it was like those DLC levels they added in, but you needed them for the platinum. Oh my god. That last level was wild. I remember you had to do the last level in under 12 minutes, I think. That speed run. Oh, I was stressing. Because I knew I wanted to get it done that night, and I did manage to do it. But yeah, pretty cool game. I'd say better than Moods of Madness, better than that. This is my second favourite, actually, so I'd say there. Alright, trying to... Oh, I popped the first trophy in 2013 or 2014, so 10 years ago, basically. I popped the first couple, like 4 or 5 trophies for trying to. Went back to it this year with my dad. We did most of it last year. Not most of it. I think we did quite a big bulk of it last year. Went back to it. Had a big break. Went back to it this year. And basically had to go through the whole game on the hardest mode and get every collectible, which is all these like XP bubbles. But there's so many in every... I think every level has about, let's say, 75. And there's 20-ish levels. Some levels only have like 50 or something, but for the most part it's 75. And then doing it on the hardest mode is basically not quite, but almost one-hit death. And some of those... And if you die... You have to go back to the start of the level again. It's just, and some of those levels are like 20, 30 minutes. So if you die right at the end of the boss, it's like, oh my god. So one of the more challenging platinums I've done this year, actually, for sure. That hardest mode it wasn't so much the XP, like getting all the collectibles, that was fine. But that hardest mode was, oh my god. Very difficult at times. But we both managed to get the platinum, which felt good. This is one of those platinums that when you got it, it was like, felt very satisfying. So, but as a game, I just do not understand Shrine. I don't get how there's 5 of them, to be honest. I do not care for it at all. It's probably better than the medium. I think I have to be fair to it, I got very frustrated with the game, but it did have some cool level design in there, if I did have to give it a positive. In terms of frustration, it was probably one of the games I got the most frustrated with this year. Like, there's some deaths in there that you just like, no. Like, there was times where arrows would hit, but you see it hit the pixel in front of you, but it just kills you, and it's like, oh, whatever. So there's definitely moments like that. It didn't happen often, but it did happen at times. Like, there's times where I just saved the gameplay to re-look at the gameplay, and I knew, just to, like, confirm to myself that I wasn't being delusional. So, yeah, I'd say I can't give it in good. It's a better game than the medium, sure, but it is a mech game for me. I don't get how there's 5 trying games, to be honest. Alright, Harry Potter, or Lego Harry Potter, years 1 to 4. Did a video on this one, so you can check that one out if you want to. Got the platinum with my dad on this one. I like the Lego games. I felt like I've overdone the Lego games a bit, because I did Jurassic Park, The Hobbit, and Star Wars Force Awakens back to back to back at the end of 2021, I want to say, and leading into 22. So Lego Jurassic Park probably would have been in the list last year, actually, but no, maybe it won't. Oh, and then Lego. Oh no, then it was those three that I just mentioned. Also Lego Marvel Superheroes and Lego Batman 3. That is too much Lego. I feel like I'm Legoed out for a few years, but I went back to the Harry Potter one just because I wanted to do a Lego game on the channel, and Harry Potter felt like it would be the most fun to do, and that was probably about right. Like I've said with Hogwarts Legacy, I love Harry Potter anyway, so going around Hogwarts, even if it is in Lego form, is always going to be fun. And yeah, the Lego, this one gave player 2 the trophies, I want to say. Am I right? No, I don't think it did actually. I think it gave some trophies and not others. I can't remember, but the Lego games need to fix that. They need to make it where player 2 can get the platinum as well, because Lego games are typically played 2-player most of the time. I don't know anyone who plays Lego games by themselves. Like I have done that before, but like years and years ago. I couldn't imagine playing a Lego game by myself now. It'd just be kind of dull. So most people, I think, play them with a second player. So they need to fix that for sure. But Lego Harry Potter, we'll go maybe there. It's a good game. The Lego games are all the same at this point. Just get all the collectibles. Okay, cool. But we knew that going in, obviously. I don't know what you kind of expect from a Lego game at this point, to be honest. Sifu, I did the whole game of this last year, but I went back and got 2 of the trophies, I want to say, this year. Really great game, actually. I like that they kind of have put out free DLC over the past year and a half, basically. I think they're done with it now, but I'd be happy to see a Sifu 2 or whatever Slow Clap do next. Is it Slow Clap? I could be wrong on that, but whatever they do next, I'll definitely be there. I'd say a great game overall. Will go above Jedi, maybe there. Pretty challenging, but you can, for the platinum, I think you can bump down the difficulty and get some of those trophies that I had left, basically. So, fun game. Alan Wake Remastered, like I say, Alan Wake 2 I think is better than Alan Wake. Alan Wake annoyed me more than Alan Wake 2 just because it's like infinite enemies, so they'll just keep coming out of the woods over and over, and it's like pointless trying to shoot them because they just keep coming for the most part. So the combat was a little bit clunky at times. It wasn't awful, but it was definitely a bit clunky. But Alan Wake as a character and the story was really, really good fun. Being in the woods and the forest was a great setting. And yeah, I'd say Alan Wake 2 is better, but I'd say Alan Wake Remastered is fun to experience. Alan Wake finally, like just to experience it for the first time, because I've heard so much about it over the years. I'd say probably there for me. Not quite at the top of great, but pretty close. I can see why it's a cult classic, I guess you'll say. Alan Wake 2 is definitely an improvement, I think. Battlefield 1, I had a couple of trophies from when the game came out in, let's say, 2018, maybe 2017 for Battlefield 1, I can't remember, but I remember playing the online when it came out for quite a long time, actually. But yeah, it's good. I never went to the campaign, so I did the campaign, got all the collectibles, and it was good. And then I had to do some of the online. I had to get to level 5 with every class or something like that, so the online was fine. I don't know. I know a lot of people consider this the best Battlefield online and stuff like that, but I don't know. I wasn't very good. I think that's what it was. I was actually very bad at the online, to be honest. I'd say a good game. Maybe the top of good for this one. Yeah. The campaign was fine. I like that it's 5 individual stories. So you got like 5 levels with each character, I seem to remember. And some of them were very, very quick. But I think all 5 of them were actually pretty decent, to be fair to them. So, yeah, they were over very quickly, but it's good. Ghostwire Tokyo, I cannot believe I actually got the platinum of this year. Played about maybe 6 hours last year when it came out, and it was good. I thought it was a good game for the story, but the collectibles, oh my god, I cannot even fathom how many collectibles were actually in this game. Everywhere you looked, there was a collectible in the city. There was so many. It was such a grind to get this platinum, just because of how many collectibles there actually were. But yeah, we actually managed to do it somehow. Don't know how, but we did actually manage to do it. And the story was good. I like the combat is actually really fun which I think is what keeps the game bearable. And the graphics, I was going to say, like the graphics to it are actually really quite stunning. Like all the neon lights and stuff like that work really well. But yeah, that was a grind to get the platinum for sure. I'd say with the grind, I'd probably put it towards the bottom of good, but we'll say as a game, it's overall pretty good. I'd say maybe there as a game. Not as good as not the Evil Dead, Evil Within, the Evil Within, which they also did Tango Gameworks, I want to say, something like that. So yeah, I hope they kind of go back to the Evil Within. Maybe give us a third one would be quite nice because I love those two games, Evil Within 1 and 2. So fingers are crossed. Sniper Goat. So these, what did we five? These 5 were all platinum within the last month, basically, because I've had a couple of weeks off from doing my normal videos, which has been quite nice. But just going through some of the older games just to kind of go back and mop some up. And there were 2 games that we were very, very close to platinum. Killing Floor 2, I have 1 trophy left, but it's like do 4 waves on the hardest mode, so we didn't quite manage to get that yet. And then there's another game that I'm like very, very close to getting, but not quite yet. So yeah, but these 5 got in the last month. Sniper Ghost Warrior contracts, pretty boring. I like sniper games, like Sniper Elite I think is really cool, and I loved the original Sniper Ghost Warrior 1 and 2, I think were pretty good, but contracts was dull. I think they had one really cool level, which was the one in the woods, and they had the mansion at the end. I thought that was pretty cool, but other than that, it is satisfying to still shoot a sniper and pop people's heads off. I can't deny that. So for that reason, we'll put it maybe there. I won't quite say meh, because it did have some good moments in there. And to be fair to it, the platinum wasn't that challenging, so it didn't spend too long on the game. Portal Knights, we did this 2-player again with my dad. This was just a Minecraft rip-off, but a pretty good one. I think if you're going to do a Minecraft rip-off, Portal Knights actually did a pretty good job of it. The platinum, not so much the platinum, but the DLC. Some of those DLC trophies are difficult. I like to get 100% sometimes with DLC, but I'm not going to fight tooth and nail for some of the trophies, and there were some trophies in there I'm like, yeah, you're good. Mainly 2. Yeah, the main game was pretty good fun as well, so I'd say I'm going to have like good memories of Portal Knights, I think. Maybe there? It's just entertaining. I don't think it's like that good of a game, and it is just a Minecraft rip-off, do not get me wrong, but it was entertaining. I'd say maybe there. Again, Texas Chainsaw's down here because of the lobby, keep that in mind. Monster Supercross Racing bollocks. This was boring. I don't mind racing games, but this was one of the more clunky ones I've ever played, so I'm going to say meh. Below Trine, below the medium, below Memoir Blue, below that, probably there. Yeah. Very boring racing game, and some of the trophies were grinding out like for like a couple of hours, which felt like 10 hours with this game, to be honest, just double the time on how much the grind was. Switchback VR, which is a VR game, obviously I just said VR, so you know that. Horror game is the people who did the Dark Pictures, like Until Dawn, and what are the other one? Man of Medan, House of Ashes, Little Hope, and the other one that was The Devil Within Me or something that was awful. But they have done some really good games, and this was one of the better ones, I'd say, actually. Maybe it's because it's one of my first times with VR, but I really love this game. You're just on a roller coaster for the whole game, but things are jumping out of you, and you've got to shoot them all and stuff like that, rack up a certain amount of points. We played this when it first came out earlier in the year, took a big break, and then went to it again the last couple of weeks because you had to go through the whole game without dying. Cloud saving exists, spoiler alert. So I'm going to say great with this one. I had a lot of fun with this one, and it didn't cause any motion sickness for me, which was a nice benefit. I'd say Madison's a better game for sure. Madison has a VR version now as well, actually, which would be pretty cool to go to, but I'd say maybe there. Pretty great game. And then finally we have Tabletop Racing, which was platinumed literally yesterday as of recording this. It's a good game. I think the music is actually pretty fun with this one. The music reminds me very much of like the PS2 racing games, but you just have like over the top music blasting throughout. And this did a good job of doing that. But it was a racing game where your little miniature cars going around big maps and stuff like that. So we'll say maybe there. middle of good. There we go, guys. That is the list of all 53 platinum trophies that I got in 2023. So my 3 best games of the year: Alan Wake 2, Dead Space Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Granted, there are some games that I played this year that were really, really good, like Baldur's Gate 3. It was just on PC. And I did the first act, so I want to go back and play it on PS5, but just finding the time, because I know that's going to take a good month out of my life to get the platinum for that, basically. But yeah, Doki Doki, amazing game. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Hogwarts Legacy, Bloodborne, Spider-Man 2, and Toem were all very special as well. And then all these great, lots of good games. Some meh, quite a lot of meh games this year, actually. And then one truly trash game that they actually... You know, if Gollum was free, fair enough. It wasn't free, it was £40. So there we go, guys. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. This is the final video that we'll have in 2023. It might be the first couple of days of 2024 when this goes up, I don't know. But thank you for all the support so far on this channel. It's really meant a lot, and more platinums coming around the corner. I'm going for one early in the year. That's going to be my first, apart from Bloodborne, really challenging platinum, I think. So I'm looking forward to that, but we'll see. Maybe I'll give up 5 minutes into it, but until then, take care. Peace.